5422. Feel free to call for a quote or just a consult of how to put your business on a social media platform or radio platform, or just doing a show that is covered by all platforms. Call 866-224-5422 and make an appointment. That's 866-224-5422.
Online, FMMoneyTalkRadio.com. On air, 95.3, 96.9, AM 1470. Business and more. WWNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. AMP2.TV presents Tell Us Your Business, where you're invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell Us Your Business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on AMP2.TV. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Hi there, I am Amy Reshevsky, and we're on Tell Us Your Biz, and I am an artist and a host of a talk show called Let's Talk Art, and I'm also work with AMP Media Productions, so here we are, and I'm also today with a good friend and great artist, Barbara Silver, and hello, Barbara.
Hello, Amy, and that was quite an introduction.
Yes, well, this is actually our first time that we're sharing the microphone together, and I'm really going to have a good time. So we're going to be relaxed and just go with the flow. So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about myself, and then I guess we'll talk about Barbara, and then we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. So
sounds good.
All right. So I am a local artist in Delray Beach. I've been in Boca and Delray area for a very long time, over 30, 40 years, I think. And I've grown up in a lot of different businesses that I've had. I've been a owner of a travel agency. I've worked for AOL, America Online, for many years, working with the background of technology in those days when we were just doing message boards and chat rooms. And now, of course, the world has changed and I can't follow anything anymore.
Join the club.
Right. And I've had some studios and galleries and been in some galleries. And the last year or so, I've been spending a lot of time in the Brooklyn Cafe at AMP Media Productions, where I do have a show now, and I invite guests on my show that are definitely related to the art world. And I've had a really amazing guest, and we'll talk about that later after Barbara tells you a little bit about her, and then we'll do that. So. Being that said, right now, I say, go ahead, Barbara, welcome, and say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
That's a good one.
So I'm Barbara Silver, and I'm delighted to be here. My background is twofold. I started my career as a writer, and I was blessed to have many opportunities to write ad copy, to brand products, specifically in the beauty industry. And ultimately, I hoped, I wanted to retire. But at night I was going to school to learn how to be an artist, and that just grabbed me. So there was no retiring for me. And as you can tell from my accent, I was a New Yorker. I've been here in Boca for about 12 years, and I think Amy will agree with me that we are blessed, pre and post pandemic, to be in this wonderful world. But what we want to talk to you about is art. And specifically the fact that most people have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. Right, Amy?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of details that we have to put ourselves together with, because we really don't there's a lot of things that you have to learn when you're an artist. How do you market yourself? How do you show your work? How do you sign up for shows? There's so many different things and different avenues, and it takes a business person, in a way, to sort of get that all accomplished. And I'll be the first to say that I'd rather be the artist because it's easier than the business
Well, that's
side.
it for sure. I mean, we wear two hats. We're in our studio, we're painting, we're in heaven. Maybe we're listening to some music, maybe we're listening to a podcast, but everything is peaceful and challenging. And then once we leave the studio, the next step is completely different, and to some artists, very, very foreign. And that is, how do you move from being an artist to building yourself as a saleable artist?
Correct. Right.
I think it begins with self-confidence,
Oh, yeah.
because this is a business where you are very much on your own, and you have to trust yourself. Not necessarily trust everybody else,
That's for sure.
but definitely trust yourself.
Right, right. And you know, confidence comes with experiencing it. And, you know, I've come a long way experiencing what I do in the art world and being very easy to show my work now. I can talk about my work. I love to talk about it. You know, and before, when you're first starting out as an artist, you know, you're really shy. You don't really know what's going on in the world. But I think we've learned a lot. And I'd say in the last few years, you know, with the COVID and being home a lot and doing a lot of extra work and just there's so many things that have changed us all. So it makes it a little bit easier to have something to say, I think.
Absolutely. And to those artists out there who might be listening to us, let me just say that there is no one direction in terms of building a business. You start by defining yourself as an artist, you explore different paths perhaps, and then you get out there in that big bad world and you say, well, now where do I go? Do I go to galleries and try to represent myself? Do I depend on social media? Do I do a lot of networking? And the answer to that, wait for this, is all of the above. You really have to create for yourself a master plan, a business plan, like any other business person would.
Right, and you know, we can use all the help we can get in that direction. You know, we've experienced being in lots of galleries, so we know how that works on that side. I've also, you know, been the gallery, so I know the other side. And
Yes.
So, you know, so the knowledge just helps you with the confidence.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's the question of the financial side of it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to jump right in on that. You go to a gallery, if you're fortunate, they like your work. Now what happens? Well, there are two things that happen. Number one, how do you price your work? We'll get back to that one. And number two, what's the cut? What are you going to get on a painting, and what is the gallery going to get? Well, sometimes that is negotiable, and sometimes it's not, but I can say from my own experience that very often there is a 50-50 split. So that brings us back to point one, which is, how do I price my painting so that I can deal with that 50-50 split, but cover my expenses, cover my transportation, my shipping of my art to people, domestically and even internationally perhaps? You better have a roadmap. Amy, how do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. I feel the same way, but it's different on every case. So if you're splitting your money in a gallery, which
Yes.
which is it's a tough thing because the stuff can sit there for a while or it moves, but most of the time it's sitting there, and so you have to really also. The gallery is not going to promote you as much as you can promote yourself. So it's really important to say, here is where I'm showing my work, and then, you know, get the people to go in to see your work individually. But it takes a lot of work just to get that done, you know. So
Yeah, I mean, in the old days, if I can date myself, yes, I am slightly over 30. There were artists who had reps who took their art around, and over time, perhaps, those people were very influential, And even if the art that they were representing wasn't terrific, they sold it, they managed to get it into galleries, the critics wrote up the art, and so forth. I think that's changed quite a bit these days. You really have to be self-motivated.
Right.
A gallery will easily turn you down. You have tremendous competition amongst your peers, but that's a good thing. Why is that a good thing? It's a good thing because most artists like to support one another, and I think that that's a key point.
Right. Right. And that's what my show's all about, too.
Yes.
Because I like to help the other artists, and so I offer them a lot, and I think that it not only helps the other artists, but it helps everybody all together because we support each other, we network with each other. If you know, if somebody's looking for a certain type of painting, we know so many artists that we could say, hey, I know somebody that does that, and so we're like a book of information. But with the show, I just love to bring on special people like I've had celebrities that are rock band singers and drummers, and they and they're artists themselves, and
Exactly.
So you I like to bring on guests that will open up another door that you've never
Yes.
really experienced before, and I've really enjoyed that. And the local artists, I have somebody come on this week she's very local and she's never been on a show before, but her work is to die for, and I really would love her to come. I mean, that's what I love experiencing, is getting her out there and sharing her work.
I wanted to ask, before the pandemic, when you were an artist, you were an artist. You went in, the hardest thing about being an artist is being a great artist. But now you have to be business people.
Right.
So you have to do even more than what a gallery is going to offer you. I see you do flowers with your pieces. I see you do musicians and music.
Right, a niche.
different niche. Finding different niches to try to get and promote it. What happens if you don't agree to the principles of a gallery that's just hanging the piece there and then you have to do it? Is that advisable at this stage of the game right now?
That's such a good question. I think that that's a one-off kind of answer. I know personally that I have been in galleries where I have hung my art, and my art has been hung. And the months go by.
Right.
And the painting starts to make an imprint on the wall. And the dust starts forming around it, So that tells you that many gallery owners really are not in it to promote you. And I think you have to negotiate initially, Freddie, and really decide whether or not you're in the right place. The last speaker was talking about sweet spots, etc. Well, that pertains to art as well. The gallery may be very modern, it may look very slick, but it doesn't mean necessarily that that's the right place for you.
That's true. Right. We've experienced that.
100%.
Yes.
I think opportunities like being on this radio show are fabulous.
Right.
You get the word out about yourself. You're being proactive. And I think that's what you were getting at, the need to be proactive.
Right. I love the fact that we can support so many of us and share on all the media that we have and talk about stuff that there's so many places now for artists to go, and there's an artistry area, or there's so many different places that you can put yourself into the group and feel what they're talking about and learn from all that too. And I like to hook up to as many groups as I can now, because I'm learning all the different mediums out there. Not that I don't know them, it's just that
Sure.
you're seeing new, well, you see a lot of digital now, but you're seeing a lot of art that we have new techniques now. We have all the liquids of the paint liquids. So yesterday I was trying to work on something, and I'm looking in all my paints. I have little liquids, but I don't have any of those big jars of so the liquid paint is shiny and it moves, and then you see everybody now with hair dryers and they're blowing their paint all around. So here Amy's trying to blow her paint and her paint's not moving because I didn't have the right material, but it's just playing, and that's what it's all about. It's experimenting.
That's the fun of the whole
Oh,
thing.
it
The
is.
different mediums that
There's
we
so
can
much
work
out
with
now.
today.
Yeah.
I mean, hidden truth, I paint some of my paintings with a mop. Okay, now I don't know whether that will increase my sales, but I just want to say that each and every one of us, some painters use dirt. It's amazing the
Sand.
different ideas, right?
Sand.
Exactly. But one of the things you said made me think of yet another outlet. With the world today moving from New York, moving to the suburbs, buying homes, no product available. One other good resource is to try to link yourself with interior designers and decorators.
Absolutely.
Very often you can think about contacting them, and perhaps if they're looking to sell a property, you can help them stage it so that they will take your paintings and put it in their home or apartment that they wish to sell. And that gives you an added promotional link that a number of artists have been very successful with.
Yeah, they have.
There's also been a lot of properties bought down here. A lot of people from up north are moving into Florida.
Exactly.
A lot of new
Potential
homes.
clients?
A lot of
Yes.
new walls. Right.
Well, that's an interesting point you make, Freddie, because let's look at price points for artists. There's up-and-coming artists, and then there's seasoned artists. So you say to yourself, so how do I price this painting? Which again is another sweet spot. What is exactly the right price point? And from there, you go to the point of view of, is somebody really looking for original art, or are they more intent on getting a print? After all, I have been to some beautiful homes, and I look around, and I get really, really close into the painting, and I say to myself, this, in fact, is a giclée.
Right.
This is a print. Now, there's nothing wrong at all. Actually, that's another marketing tool, to take your original art, to have it made into prints, which gives you yet a lower price point, and then you're offering the consumer a variety of different prices to purchase your art.
What I do is I do a lot of staging of my art online, so I will take a painting of mine and I'll just change the size on it
Sure.
to fit the room, because I can sell that painting as a print. And I can
Yes.
have it enlarged and it'll look exactly like it did as the small version. And that's an amazing tool that we have today. And I try to fit my art into the rooms that I create to enhance the painting. So, the right room, the right color, the right angle, everything.
And not only the size, Amy, but why don't you tell our audience a little bit about some of the unusual techniques that you use?
I do. I make mosaic tapestries, and what they are is original art that. I like to paint a lot, so I always have extra paintings around. So, and if they're not going to go into a gallery or on a wall, then what I do is I cut them up in pieces, and then I come up
You
with an
listening,
idea.
audience?
I come up with an idea to create something. So say I'm going to create a flower. I would take 3 or 4 different pieces from different paintings and put the colors all together and coordinate that and make a creation out of that. And I love that. And I'm trying to figure that out for the summer, because I'm going to be traveling, and if I can cut up a bunch of paintings and roll them up and take them with me, I'm working on that. But as much as I love to paint a new piece, and I mostly do originals because I love to paint so much,
Right.
So the mosaic tapestry is a really nice thing. You can be sitting doing a puzzle. I always compare it to, during COVID, everybody had their puzzles, and you put all the pieces together, and you love what you did, and then unless you paste them, you put them back in the box.
I've
But when I
never-
do a
yeah.
mosaic tapestry, it's not going back in a box,
Right.
and it's a piece of work, and I just adore working on it that way.
I
So it's
was-
different media.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, forgive me for interrupting you, I was thinking as you were talking about the fact that I've never met an artist who hasn't repainted her canvas or
Oh, a
his
few
canvas
times,
at
right.
least 5 times,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And that's just the way it goes, and that's the fun of it. And sometimes on the 5th take, you actually get it.
Well, famous artists like Picasso, I mean, he painted over and over and over. He was doing, you know, a still photo, a picture with a photo, and, you know, he couldn't get the right angle, so he paints over it and starts again, and there's layers and layers. I do have a good friend that does a lot of that, and it's so funny because, aren't you done with that yet? Oh, no, I'm not done with it. Like,
One more layer.
One more layer.
Right, right.
Yeah, it's fun.
Another aspect that we really haven't spoken to, but I feel is very current, is female versus male artists. You know, historically, male artists were always received better than female artists. But fortunately, in this generation, that has changed due to artists like Lee Krasner, who really made the press and the art critics see that women artists were just as talented, if not more talented,
Right.
than a lot of their male patriotic components. So the point here is that anything goes today. And I think Amy pointed out she's doing the mosaic. I work a lot with high flow paint.
Right, that's what I was talking about.
Yes, I actually will take a painting on the floor and I will move it around. I will twist it. I will turn it. I will
Because you're very abstract.
very abstract, yes. I will move it in strange directions, then I take my broom out. You know, it's
gotta
not
see you with the
pretty,
broom.
but it is an interesting combination of things that we actually
Oh, I
can
love,
accomplish.
I love to work with paper and mix it in.
paper's fun.
Mixed medium. Oh, I know. I have this one paper that has little circles, and every time I find it somewhere, I buy it. It's like, so it's cotton on cotton or something like that. And when you put it into the canvas, it does its own thing, and you can put a color over it, and I love the way to mix the mediums together. It's really fun.
It is. Yet another aspect that comes to my mind is a regional component. What does that mean? Well, we were recently in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, the two of us.
Right.
Oh, you were
and
in
now we
Asheville
live in
first.
Boca. Well, Boca, Asheville. The same kind of art? Not necessarily.
Not at all.
As one travels around the United States to Carmel, California, here in Boca, to New York City, you will see that art has a regional component.
Absolutely.
Some people really like sceneries and landscapes, and in other places that just won't fly. To some degree, the younger generation are really into pop art again. That's come back again in a huge way. So you have to also think, as another business variable, about what your audience likes. Now, if you don't paint exactly that way, no problem. You stick with what works for you, and then you try to find and target the audience that will appreciate the kind of craft and artistry that you possess.
Right. So Barbara and I just got back from North Carolina. We spent a few days with a few people on
In
a
the
wine
rain.
trip in the rain, but it was nice and cozy.
It was.
It was. We were all sharing this house. It was called the Dangerfield Mansion, and it's where this artist.
No relation to Rodney.
No,
Okay.
no, a far off cousin, something. But he, Dangerfield was a very well known North Carolina artist. And he, so the house we were in was all the paintings all over the house was Dangerfield, and he was very doing the trees and all that, but dark. Everything's dark.
Yes.
Like if you would not see a modern picture in that house because it wouldn't fit. So that's what you're talking about. It's the style and the way the state is and the whole bit. You know, you couldn't put an abstract or anything crazy in there because it just
Absolutely.
would just like.
And you know, Amy, what I would
thorn.
like to do in closing is encourage younger artists to just go for it. You know, don't be put off by the fact that the competition is very stiff. Don't be put off by the financial aspect of your materials, because there's always a way around it. And I really encourage people, women and young men, to really get out there. And if you have a vision, that's what it's all about.
So Barbara, if somebody wanted to buy your work, where would they find you?
So Barbara Silver Gallery at gmail.com is my Gmail address, and my gallery can be found online at barbarasilvergallery.com. Thank you.
Oh, and I'm Amy Rashevsky again, and I'm amyrashevsky.com for my website. Let's Talk Art on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, Wednesdays every week. And my art can be found on Facebook and on my website. So hope to see some of you stop in.
Thank you for having me, Amy.
Thank you for having me, Barbara.
Oh, wow.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an AMP